adaptations you have to make with a Friday night game in a short week?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's always, getting ready to play for your opponent, and they provide, an immense number of challenges. They're really, really good size up front. What they've been able to do is certainly a high-quality program, and then being able to add some key transfers has changed their team in a really, really good way. And I think back to last year, I think the quarterback was one of the most productive quarterbacks that we faced. He didn't play that entire game when we faced him, but when he was in there, my goodness, he throws well, really, really good mobility in terms of being able to throw also on the move, and you got to prepare for two-back runs where he is the second back. He is the dot back, but it's almost like you're playing against 12. You're playing north of the border, but you only have 11 and they have 12. And then I think the weak part, it was a Friday night. We did take a couple of days in the summer, just to kind of get ahead in terms of study, and took a couple of days during the month of August. So game plan wise, I don't think that comes into play as much as it does just playing a really, really good opponent that supplemented their roster in a positive way.
Because you are one of the few that got to see Peasley play against you. In what ways is Wyoming using him in a similar way and different? Similar and different? Is he a quarterback in this system than he was last year?
Well, I think some of the throws that they're asking him to make, at least when he's in the gun, or there's some carryover there. The threat of the boot, the threat of the zone read is much more prevalent than what we saw from him last year, just because he's now operating in a different system.
This program has had a ton of great running backs: Valladay, Moore, Brian Hill. In what ways is Titus Swen in that category of great backs at Wyoming?
Well, he moves forward very, very well. That's one of the things you see, just the level of commitment that they have to go north, to go downhill. He's behind an offensive line that's, the best we've seen so far this season. We've seen, I think, really two solid groups, and he yet he's also has some elusiveness to him and some suddenness, where he is very difficult to tackle, and they have depth at that position too. So it's not like he has to play every single snap.
Last for me, in looking at film in the room, I'm curious if there was any reaction to Amari Terry's and Brandon Engel's block on John Lee Eldridge's touchdown, where the two of them just mowed through a couple of, I believe, one's a cornerback, one's a safety. Is there any reaction to what they did on that play? Well,
just we got to have better consistency, where you do it down after down, in terms of the way you play. And we're, again, we're no arrogance, we're no bluster. And frankly, from here on out, we're going to be operating at a disadvantage. I think especially you start looking at the transfer part of it, and that's going to be very, very evident when we get to this week. So we got a tough road, and playing a tough road game too.
Yeah, on that topic, obviously it's a place you guys have struggled over the past, 3 trips up there. Is there something about that venue, that program, that has made that a difficult trip?
Well, I think we've played against some pretty good players. I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. There was a quarterback one year named Allen that was a pretty good player. One of the better ones, not just in this league, but I think one of the better ones, I want to say on the globe. But and there were some other guys that play a factor in that too. I'm thinking of who the edge rusher at Granderson was a pretty good player. There have been a couple of linebackers that haven't been bad. One of them, we're watching the Super Bowl, here recently. And they've had good teams too. And they've been really, really good games, as this one will be too. It's just we're going to have to scratch and claw and overachieve. And, again, this isn't somebody we match up real well against, just because they tend to be a little bit older. and the way they've been able to add to their team in a real plus way. And so, yeah, I mean, this will be a good one.
Because they added so many players, does it change a lot of what they do? Because I would think because of the stability they've had, at least a head coach, that could be one where you can look at past video and understand what you're looking at. Did they change a lot because of the amount of transfers that they've had?
I don't think, certainly not a great deal defensively. Now, they do a good job of being able to adjust from week to week. Offensively, you do see some different things that maybe are a little bit that weren't in place last year, because of the quarterback. And those are things that you have to work on. And, those are things that you really didn't prepare for in the summer because you didn't know what they were. Or now that you've been able to see, 3 games on tape, there's some things that we've had to work on here in the last couple of days.
And because of Peasley's mobility, in the past, when you have struggled with them, their quarterbacks have moved well. Even Josh Allen, that was his best rushing game in college. That was kind of the first time we saw that. Does he present that kind of skill set where they are, you expect them to be at their best because of
Absolutely. I'll say this, if on 3rd and 5 or in a 4-minute situation, they took that big guy they had at quarterback and were willing to run him, there will be no hesitation in running the current quarterback. And that's, like I said, I mean, just, when it comes to your gap control, but even more so your run fits. It makes you have to create some two-back run fits. Even though you want to say it's only a one-back set. And so there's some identification that's a part of that. Certainly a great deal of communication that's necessary, I think, especially between a safety and a backer, that has to happen.
Okay. And I'll just throw this out. ESPN, a number of Sporting News, a number of outlets have had you on lists of potential candidates at Nebraska. Do you want to comment on that situation at all?
If we aren't full tilt with our own guys, we aren't fair to our own guys.
Coach, thanks for taking the time. When it comes to Brad Roberts, he's coming off a career, I think most carries in Air Force history. Do you try to diminish that load a little bit, or are you comfortable whatever he gives you?
I wouldn't say it's intentional to reduce maybe his number of carries. I do think there are some other guys that really, really can help us at that position, maybe, that have earned carries too. And specifically, that would be Omar and Emmanuel Michel. So, I'd like to see where we have all 3 of those guys involved. And yet again, things don't always go according to plan either.
One of the positions that you really need cohesion is offensive line. How do you foster that cohesion? They just seem to be gelled. I know they're older, but how do you get that cohesion?
It certainly takes time, and we're a work in progress. Across the board we are, and that's why you get a chance to go play a game on the road. This week, there are going to be some experiences and things that occur that can help us maybe later in the year where we can be a more competitive football team later in the year. And but at that spot, I think obviously they're really, really well coached. You got a guy that's there that played it, was a first-team all-conference player, played in the East-West Shrine game when that was really the postseason game. His merits and his credibility as a coach. I don't know how many times I'm thinking back, and Wake Forest has won the ACC in the last 50 years, maybe, or had a guy that was the offensive coordinator, and they were in the Orange Bowl. And his imagination, but his candor, the clarity of how he teaches is a factor in that, meaning Steve Labotsky. And then having guys that it's important to them to be able to find some things fundamentally that they can do well, and being dedicated for there to be some repeat on the field, attentiveness in the film room just for some of those details and techniques, and being able to go back to the field and want to improve.
My last one for me would be this. You've encountered pretty much every scenario out there in football, but there's still some out there that you've never encountered. When you're watching a game, I'm not Broncos not specific, but just watching a game, do you put yourself in situations and how I would react and kind of, you know what I mean? Are you a student of the game that way?
I love a football game, a basketball game, and a baseball game. And I'm miserable to sit by if you just want to say, all right, let's have a cold sarsaparilla and enjoy the entertainment part of it. And just because I want to think all the time about get the shortstop over there, or it's 1-2. Why is he coming to third with 2 out? I mean, just, yeah. I mean, I can't watch a game and not just try to, I'll just tell you, I mean, it's one of those thirsts, or I don't know if it's a hunger or a thirst or an appetite, where I try to soak in and learn from it as much as you possibly can. Now, I don't know all variables that are involved from a coach's perspective, but I sure want to try to find out. And I don't think that'll ever change. I can't go watch, this summer we went to watch the White Sox play the Guardians in Chicago, and I can't watch that baseball game and enjoy it, if that's what you're asking, just to sit back. I mean, I am a nut would be kindly saying in terms of how much, if I see something on TV, I want to know how quickly I can go watch the film. Because there are things I can't see on the TV that I can't wait to go watch the film to see why. And is that healthy? I don't know. It might not be. I mean, there are times where Amanda says, why don't you just go with somebody else? Yeah, that happens, candidly. I mean, yeah, so yes, every single thing I see, if it's a clock operation, if it's a down and distance, if it's a field goal, or where's the wind, or if it's a lefty versus righty, if it's am I fascinated a little bit in baseball about why don't more people, the way we extend the bullpen, why not start a left-hander? And whether he throws 1 inning or 4 innings, let's see if you can't empty that bench and all of a sudden the 2nd inning or the 5th inning bring in a right. I mean, yeah, those sports intrigue me to no end, especially baseball and football. And I let my dad handle basketball. He's 81 and he's still doing it, so he handles that part of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The name, was that your given name?
Given name is Thorson, but I just go by Thor for short. I like it a little better. So.
Is there a history behind that name?
Yeah, so my last name's Italian. It comes from my dad's side, and they want to give me a Norwegian first name, so Thor Thorson was the name.
Did you have fun with that as a kid?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I've always been kind of bigger when I was a kid, so people were always like Thor's hammer, all that stuff, and yeah, it's I liked having it. It's a good name.
All right. So when you look at Wyoming, it's a team that traditionally has stopped the run pretty well. So I would, as a lineman, are those the fun ones when you know you're really gonna have a game in the trenches that is going to be physical?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you love having it come down to the whole offensive line as a whole. Our unit being able to do what we do, having the game come down to that, it just puts a little bit, on your shoulders, and it makes it a little more special when you play.
And Air Force has struggled up there. It hasn't won since 2012, but I don't think anybody on this team was up there the last time you guys went to Laramie.
Yeah,
so does that mean anything to you guys?
No. It's just another week, another game. That's the way we're looking at it. Nothing special, no statistics. We're just going to go up there and play football.
And it's also been a game, it's kind of been heated at times. Is it because you didn't play in 2020, only saw him last year, has that kind of fizzled too, just because there's not much familiarity right now?
I'm not too sure about that. Like I said, it's just another time where we just go in there, go play, and I'm not sure about the whole intensity of it. It was a close game last year. I remember playing in that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's just going forward into another game. So,
what's the excitement level right now with the team, just based on what you guys have done and how good you guys must feel that you can be?
It's exciting, but we don't really like looking back at what we've done. We're kind of just looking forward week by week, taking it one game at a time. Nothing's too crazy that happened, in the past week. Nothing's too big and challenging that's coming ahead. We're kind of just taking it 1 week at a time and going from there.
And if Brad Roberts keeps doing what he's been doing, which there's no reason to think he won't, he might start popping up on some Heisman lists and things like that. How fun would that be to be one of his linemen and see that kind of stuff progress?
It's awesome. Brad's a great guy, and it's super exciting seeing him do what he does on Saturdays and Fridays. It's super exciting, especially being able to block for him. That's what gets us motivated, seeing other guys on the team do really well because of the effort we're putting forward up front. It's always exciting to watch.
And who got the honorary diesel last week?
We didn't do one last week. No, we did not do one last week. So we'll probably do one this week, but I'm still not sure.
And did you get one immediately as a starter, or how did that?
So my first start was last year, week 2 at Navy. Before that game night, they gave me the diesel hat and the whole process of that stuff. So it was exciting.
And can you real quick just take us through where you came from and how Air Force popped up on the radar for you to recruit?
So I'm from a small town in Illinois, Woodstock, Illinois. It kind of just my recruiting coach, he emailed me, got the message, never really heard of the Air Force Academy. Did some research, parents did some research. I went out on a visit, really liked the place, and I decided this was the school that I wanted to be at.
What were some other options?
I had offers from Western Michigan, Illinois State, a couple other FCS schools in the Midwest. Nothing big, though.
Who was the recruiting coach?
It was Coach Vanderlinden. He's no longer with us, but
Yeah.
or he's not at the school. I'm sorry, but yes. Yeah.
Was that, did you immediately also research him and find out his background?
Yeah. He was a very decorated coach. I thought it was really cool being a high schooler, having a coach with that much on his resume coming, and he thought that I was a player that they wanted. So it was exciting.
Hey, I guess when it comes to offensive line, cohesion is important. Just away from practice, how do you guys build that cohesion?
Yeah, so coming in from last year, we all have that trust with each other. We've been playing together for quite some time, and it's just like meals. We'll eat meals together, and it's just the offensive line. It's like a really cohesive unit as a whole. But I think our guys in particular, we have a really special friendship and bond that it goes beyond football for us.
Is it video games? You play video games together?
Some of the guys, sometimes we'll play video games, but mainly, we'll grab food, and we're always hanging out with each other. So it's a special connection there.
How good is that line?
I really like playing with the guys. It's fun. It's a great group of guys. Everyone's super talented, so I'm really lucky to be a part of it.
Okay, real quick, because I want to make sure I get this right. Can you say your last name for me again?
Paglialong?
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I got the Thor part.
Yeah.
I'm curious, have you ever dressed up as Thor for Halloween?
I think I did 1 year, not for Halloween, but in high school. It was homecoming week. It was superhero day, and I decided to dress up as Thor. I got a hammer and everything, so yeah.
Can you do the voice?
What voice? The Thor voice?
Yeah.
No, I'm not good at that.
I had to ask.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Absolutely had to ask. How excited are you to get into conference play? You guys have had a chance to kind of flex a little bit the first 2 weeks, and as Brent said, it's been a while since this program has won up in Wyoming. How excited does that make you, especially conference game, getting everything started there?
It's super important, but like I said earlier, it's just we're not really looking at it as this game's super important, this game's super important. They're all important, but we're kind of just going week by week. I'm excited to get into conference play. I think all the guys are. We're super excited about that. But at the end of the day, it's just another game for us.
When you guys, look at the film, how do you balance what you have to correct versus, weather played a part in mistakes here and there? How do you come to that balance?
So we'll watch film every day, and Coach Lobo does a great job at correcting the mistakes that we made, and then looking forward what we have to do to win the upcoming games. He's really great when it comes to that aspect of preparing us. The stuff we did this off season, back in spring, and this fall camp, it's all prepared us for whatever we'll face.
I want to start with Wyoming and a mobile quarterback. I've seen Wyoming play with a mobile quarterback, back with Josh Allen and some other ones. How does that impact preparation when you've got to do your job, but also be conscious of a quarterback who could leak out?
Yeah, so he was actually at Utah State last year, I think. He had some runs on us, so I feel like we know what we're doing, but maybe keep some linebackers in there, keep some eyes on them. That'll be good in preparation for a mobile quarterback like that.
Is that easier said than done? When it actually game speed's happening and suddenly, is it just hard to make that?
Yeah. It's not hard to make that shift, especially with our guys. We have some pretty talented inside linebackers, pretty deep room in the inside linebackers. It's all about practice, preparation this week. We'll probably get some looks with maybe a running back at the quarterback scout team, so somebody more mobile, get those linebackers in, get some communication, whether it's a draw or what, to get people's eyes back to the ball.
And because he played such a big part in that game last year, is it kind of like a double chance to avenge that game because you get to play him and then later Utah State?
Oh, yes, for sure. We'll be looking to take a win here, try to limit their weapons, whoever that may be, especially the quarterback.
And what do you know about the history of Air Force in Wyoming, over the past?
I just know every year it's pretty much our most physical game. I know they like to come out with a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. They like to run the ball a lot, so do we. So that's kind of where that's going.
Does that excite you that it's one of the most physical games?
Oh yeah, that's exciting for sure. As a football team, we like to pride ourselves on physicality. So it's a good test, especially early on in the season with Wyoming. So.
Now, how about you personally? Obviously, we saw the play last week, and then what caught me was more of what you said about it. Is that your style? Is that physicality first and foremost in how you kind of evaluate yourself?
Yeah. So I'm usually a laid back, pretty quiet guy, but when it comes to the field, you gotta turn up a different notch. So I try to take that to the field. Be physical. I put on 15 pounds in the off season, just trying to be more stout and be able to take those hits and deliver them as well.
Wow. How specifically did you do that?
Meal prepping, I would wake up every morning, force myself to eat like rice, ground beef, a lot of it, eating multiple times a day, more than I usually do. And getting in the weight room with Getty, he has a good weight program with us, so the weight came during the off season.
So you're eating rice and ground beef first thing in the morning?
Yes, sir. It was just the most calories I could get in my body.
How much preparation does that take? Because you don't just wake up and cook ground beef.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not that hard though. Sunday I just make a week's portion, 5 days worth of it, and just split it up into 5 different portions.
Just plain ground beef and rice, or do you?
Yeah, and I would add like some barbecue sauce or something in there.
Wow, how different do you feel playing with those extra pounds?
Oh yeah, I feel different for sure. One is like I feel more durable. I feel like I'm not getting moved back as much. And then the beginning of fall camp, I was talking with Camby because we both put on some weight, and we were like, yeah, bro, my body just feels, so much better, but I also feel, like I'm just more confident. So, yeah.
And I always like to ask, the backgrounds, how you guys got here. Like, how did Air Force pop up on your radar?
I think they were maybe my second or third offer. Yeah, they came after North Texas. So it was a service academy. I wasn't really too sure about it. I took a visit up here, and I still wasn't too sure. And then I kept researching and exploring my options. And then ultimately it became like the number one choice, obviously.
What was the other choice you were, what did it come down to?
I had multiple. I think I had 17 scholarship offers. But the main 2 at the end were New Mexico and Air Force. So.
Do you remember, the final variable that made you choose?
Definitely the opportunity here, the scholarship, the coaching staff as well, just the football program overall, and then the school. It's the best of 3 worlds, military, academic, and athletically. So.
And then as a freshman, you got to see the field, and especially against New Mexico, ironically enough. But how much did that end up helping you in your progression, that you had that experience to lean on? Because not a lot of guys get that here.
Yeah, so being a freshman and being able to play early is rare here. I was excited to get my chance early in and then get some experience. It wasn't too much, but it was some. So I was kind of used to the big stadiums, the lights and the fans, and people counting on you.
And how do you kind of guard, how do you balance the excitement over what you guys have done and not looking ahead too much to what the season could become and stay grounded?
Yeah, so we have a little motto now, win the day. So we're just taking it day by day. Today we're going to win the day in the weight room. We're going to power clean today, hang clean. Then we're going to go out to practice. Just take it one step at a time. We're not too focused on the future or anything. We have our goals set, and our goals right now are winning the day. So.
What do you clean?
I think my clean was 285 at the end of spring. I mean, it's decent.
What's up, Pat Graham, Associated Press? Nice to meet you. What's harder, playing safety or being an astronautical engineer?
It depends where your passion is. For me, I like both. I would say maybe playing safety is harder just because when you're sitting there taking a test or studying or whatever, you're not running around trying to catch your breath. You're not, you're focused on you and the paper. There's not too much going on with all these checks and calls and yelling and all these outside noises.
What is astronautical engineer for the people like me who aren't smart enough to know that?
Yeah, so that has to do with like satellites, spacecraft, orbits. A lot of stuff we do today with GPS and everything starts in space and the satellites. So with the Space Force, it's pretty new, but it's very important, and that's pretty much astronautical engineering satellites and stuff like that.
So Air Force doesn't have transfer portals. They don't have NIL deals, yet they keep the playing field pretty level. How are you guys able to do that? What are some maybe Air Force ways of keeping the playing field level?
I think you come in as a freshman and you kind of have that life-changing basic training experience, and then you go through scout team, you're scouting for the older guys, and you earn it. So everyone you see on the field has earned it. There's no like cheap ways out to go transfer somewhere. You have to compete for your spot. You have to go take that spot, and everyone who's out there deserves their spot. So
You guys go up against Power 5 teams and you don't bat an eye. Why is that? Is that going through training and going through the trenches, and you guys just have that mentality that we can compete with anyone?
Oh, yes, sir. I feel like we've been through challenges. We've been through hard things here at the academy, and it's a pretty stout mentality that everyone gets.
So I'm just curious, was space always like a passion of yours? Were you one of those kids that watched a lot of sci-fi shows and NASA documentaries, stuff like that? Was that kind of your thing growing up, or?
I didn't really watch documentaries. I wasn't really too much into it. I just knew I liked outer space. I kind of want to be an astronaut, maybe, if I choose that route. Actually, right now, I'm kind of considering the business route because it seems more applicable to the real world. But astronautical engineering is still like in my mindset. And I think the academy was just rated the #1 astronautical school in the country. So that's pretty interesting.
Okay, there you go. So I'm curious, what kind of swagger is this defense playing with right now?
So we're kind of playing with the swagger that everyone out there deserves to be out there. Everyone out there, you can count on them. So whether it's winning your one-on-ones, whether it's working together on a blitz, tying in disguises, stuff like that. And the biggest thing is communication. So we'll be out there, we'll be telling each other things that most people, they would think that it like, you don't even need to be talking about that, but like, it's just every bit of communication helps. Whether it's who's on the ball, who we think is going to motion, what we think is going to happen after the motion. If he doesn't motion, what are we going to do? So it's a lot of communication, a lot of trust, and winning your one-on-ones.
So you guys, you're playing a Power 5 team. They're the ones with all the great recruits and everything, and you beat them by 31. And now you got a team that, this program hasn't gone to Wyoming and won at their place in a while. Does that kind of create a little extra swagger for the guys in the defense? Like, yeah, all right, we'll show you.
Yeah, it kind of puts that chip on our shoulder we want to be the group that goes to Wyoming in that environment and is able to pull through and win, however that may be.
Have you guys surprised yourselves at all with how efficient you've been, or was this about what you expected when you were getting into camp and getting ready for the year? Were you expecting to be as dominant as you've been early on?
I mean, it's nice to see the the stats or whatever, but we kind of set a standard that this is the standard that we are meeting, and we're always looking to get even better. So yeah, it's kind of what we expected, but it is nice to see once in a while. You got to appreciate the good things on the defense.
What has the team's excitement and like energy level been like going into conference play?
Yeah, obviously this is the first conference game. There is a little more excitement starting the conference play. We want to start off on the right foot. Everyone's pretty juiced up. Everyone's pretty amped. No one really needs any motivation, so it's kind of like a collective effort of everyone's ready, and we feel ready. You feel the energy in the weight room, out there walking out to practice. We're ready.
And then can you kind of walk us through what game day is like waking up and then leading up to the game?
Yeah. So usually, if we have a later game like this one's on Friday at 6 p.m. We're gonna wake up early. There's gonna be a breakfast. It's mandatory. Then we have position meetings and walkthroughs and stuff like that. Then we have a pregame meal where everyone's together with your position. So I know the safeties will sit together, the corners will sit at their table and stuff like that. And those pregame meals are, like I said, like everyone's ready. You feel the energy. It's pretty tense. There's not much talking going on. Everyone's just eating and ready. And then you get into the locker room. It's the same type of energy. Everyone's getting taped up and whatnot, but you can tell everyone's locked in and everyone's ready. And then we go out there and do our warm-ups and get ready to play.
I gotta ask you, what's your pump up song?
My pump-up song? I kind of like AC/DC. I like those. Yeah, it's because when I was in high school, that was kind of pretty much what they played. I really like Thunderstruck. That's one of the go-tos as well. So. That works out pretty well considering they play that a lot of stadiums. Yeah.
Hey, sorry, just two more. I'm gonna leave you alone. Number one is, are you eligible for diesel being on that side of the ball? Can you get a diesel hat?
I don't think so. I think diesel's more of an offensive thing with the O-line and those offensive guys. Maybe we need to come up with something for the defense though.
They're pretty cool. Would you want one?
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool to have one. Everyone sees those hats and they're pretty cool. They're they're coveted. They're nice hats. I hear it takes a lot to get them. Even the guys on the defense don't really know how that process works and stuff. But yeah, those diesel hats are pretty cool.
And last one for me is, and this is no knock, but with Air Force's version of the option, when you go up against a passing team, how do you guys get reps? How do you see if you're going against the option all the time? How do you prepare for a passing team?
Yeah, so a lot of these guys in high school, the freshmen coming in, a lot of them weren't option teams in high school. They were the traditional offense, conventional wide receivers and stuff. So we get a good look at from the scout team. We'll do that conventional stuff in practice and get those route combinations and the speed and the tempo and the communication and everything. And that's how we're pretty much prepared to play those conventional teams, whether it be man-to-man or zone coverage or anything like that. Working the disguises and the cadence and stuff like that.